We're going to build a wall. It's going to be built.
We have to have a shield. I want to build a shield around our country. And these shields work.
In the most likely rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, Trump would beat Biden if election were held today. The 2024 presidential election is going to be perhaps the most important election in 21st century, with the current military conflicts, culture wars, and the threat of nuclear annihilation. Even outside the US, right-wing support is on the rise. Geert Wilders, known as Dutch Trump, won a huge victory in Netherlands. And Argentina has just elected their right-wing president Javier Milei, nicknamed Argentina's Trump. So what would Donald Trump's comeback mean for America and the rest of the world? What is going on, guys? I hope you're having a nice day, because today we talk politics. In comparison with 2016, Republicans are this time much more prepared for their next administration. Agenda 47 and Project 2025. Agenda 47 features a detailed Trump's program if he wins in 24.
Under a Trump administration, gasoline-powered engines will be allowed, but child sexual mutilation will be banned.
Project 2025 is something of a more massive scale. Developed by hundreds of conservatives, it aims to totally restructure the US government and replace it with conservatives' vision.
But what we're doing is systematically preparing to march into office and bring a new army of aligned, trained, and essentially weaponized conservatives ready to do battle against the deep state.
This project was developed through collaboration of 80 conservative organizations. It is built on 4 different pillars. Pillar number 1 is a massive 920-page policy book called Mandate for Leadership. Pillar 2 is the personnel database. The plan is to collect information from thousands of conservatives to pick the best candidate for President-elect's team. They're basically gathering information from the application published on their website, in which some of the questions are: should US increase legal immigration, or is the police in America systemically racist? Pillar number 3 is online educational system to prepare political appointees to be ready on day number 1. And pillar number 4 is called 180-day playbook. This is basically a tutorial for next Republican president on how to implement the policies from the Pillar 1 manifesto in the first 180 days of their administration. Mandate for Leadership truly feels like a conservative's holy Bible. Realization of such project would be a long-awaited dream becoming a reality for Republicans, and a worse doomsday for Democrats. So let's dive further into some of these Project 25 policies in combination with Trump's Agenda 47 policies. Expansion of presidential powers. Project 25 plans to put the executive branch of the US federal government under direct presidential control. Executive branch contains independent agencies like Federal Trade Commission, Environmental Protection Agency. For example, Federal Communications Commission licenses radio and television broadcast stations and enforces regulations designed to ensure that cable rates are reasonable. According to Project 25, federal workers in executive branch are described as radical left ideologues, and about 50,000 of them should be removed and replaced by Trump's loyalists, who have undergone a training program from pillar number 3.
We want Trump!
In simple words, Donald Trump or any elected Republican nominee would have an absolute power to do whatever they want. For example, to use Insurrection Act, a law that allows president to use military and domestic police force to stop the Black Lives Matter protests. Trump also promised he will pardon many imprisoned January 6 rioters. Together they already recorded a song called Justice for All. This quite reminds me of similar situation when Elon Musk bought Twitter, fired 80% of its employees, and renamed the platform to X.
We will use all necessary state, local, federal, and military resources to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history.
Trump has announced that he will carry out the largest deportation of illegal migrants unseen in modern American history. Remember the Eisenhower's Operation Wetback in 1954, when around 1.3 million Mexicans were forcefully deported back to Mexico? Well, Trump could deport millions of them each year. Babies born in the US to undocumented parents would lose birthright citizenship. Also, students who participated in anti-Israel or pro-Palestinian protests would be banned from entering the country. LGBTQ+ rights and banning pornography. I'm just gonna quote the book here cause it explains pretty much everything. Pornography manifested today in the omnipresent propagation of transgender ideology and sexualization of children. It has no claim to First Amendment protection. Its purveyors are child predators and misogynistic exploiters of women. Their product is as addictive as any illicit drug and as psychologically destructive as any crime. Pornography should be outlawed. The people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned. Educators and public librarians who purvey it should be classed as registered sex offenders. And telecommunications and technology firms that facilitate its spread should be shattered. It seems that for them, outlawing pornography means pretty much banning LGBTQ+ children books or any mentions of transgenderism to children. Do you think we could survive without My Two Moms and Me, Queer Power, or Nate Plus One? According to them, wokeism should be eliminated from Department of Education and replaced by conservatism, that is, teaching traditional values and Christianity. The book continues on by highlighting the awareness of growing crisis in American families. 40% of all children are born to unmarried mothers, including more than 70% of black children. There is no government program that can replace the hole in a child's soul cut out by the absence of a father. USA leaving NATO. Trump discussed pulling US out of NATO if his demands are not met by NATO. This decision would affect the future of Russia-Ukrainian war because the US is among the largest military aid providers to Ukraine, having sent more than $75 billion worth of equipment. Without the United States, Ukraine could lose a war to Russia. And in case of NATO's Article 5, which says, if an armed attack occurs against one of the member states, it is considered an attack against all members, and the other members shall assist the attacked member with armed forces if necessary. Without the United States, NATO will lose its largest ally and be incredibly weakened. Trump has often repeated that he would end the war in Ukraine in only 24 hours, repeating that he has a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin. But further details on the way he would end the war remains a secret. Climate policy. Project 25 would reject a finding from Environmental Protection Agency that determined that carbon dioxide emissions are harmful to human health. So the federal government would be prevented from regulating greenhouse gas emissions. Critics describe this plan as a blueprint to destroy the planet. Electric grid expansion to incorporate solar and wind electricity would be stopped and replaced by natural gas infrastructure and use of fossil fuels.
I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely expensive, kills all the birds, it's very intermittent, got a lot of problems, and they happen to make the windmills in both Germany and China.
During his administration, Trump already withdrew America from the Paris Climate Accords, but Project 25 would apply much more radical climate policies. I wonder how many artworks will get destroyed by soup by those climate activists if Project 25 succeeds.
What is worth more, art or life?
Death penalty for human traffickers and drug dealers. Having praised an anti-trafficking hit movie, Sound of Freedom, about rescuing children from sex traffickers in Colombia, Trump has proposed instituting the death penalty for human traffickers and drug smugglers. This decision has been criticized as violation of international human rights laws. Alright guys, so those were just some of the announced policies from Project 25 and Agenda 47. If we take a closer look at the election polls, we can still see a continuous polarization across the United States as half of America picks Trump and the other half Joe Biden. This is going to be a very close election unless some other candidate gains extreme support. In Republican corner, Trump is crushing GOP rivals with 59% of support. much that Mike Pence even dropped out of the race. Ron DeSantis enjoys support at 13.8%, Nikki Haley 9.3%, Vivek Ramaswamy 5.2%, and Chris Christie 2.6%. Still, the majority of Democratic Party supports Joe Biden at 69%. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. left the Democratic Party and now runs as independent with 20% of support. 38% of independents would support Donald Trump if elections were held today. It is frankly important to mention that in a year until 2024 election, there are still numerous events that could determine the final results. What if, just what if Joe Biden dies before the election day? What if Russia-Ukrainian and Israeli-Palestinian wars escalate? And don't forget about a possible war between China and Taiwan. What if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. gains massive support? And what if Donald Trump goes to prison? Remember the 2016 presidential election when Hillary Clinton was constantly beating Trump in every single poll, but then things made a drastic 180-degree turn and Trump became the 45th president. So we definitely shouldn't rely on polls. It's all about that election night. How many people are going to vote and for who are they going to vote? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please let us know down in comments below what is your opinion on Project 25 and for who would you vote in 24. And have a nice day.